And welcome back. This is Turn the Page. We're still airing. We're still bringing you shows. We're still enjoying ourselves. And yes, your grandmother still watches our show. Thanks for joining us again. We are back. We are still digitally airing in this plague age of 2020. But that won't stop us from having fun talking about comic books, movies, and whatever else we come up with along the way. I am Tony Stevens, your star power. And we also have John McClay, the sex appeal, with us, computer extraordinaire.
Hello.
We have Ronnie Shanks, the adorable sidekick. We've got our own technician department all rolled into one. That's Dan Stevens. And of course, the Peanut Gallery, keeping us straight.
The
That's
Peanut
Chuck.
Gallery.
Hey, I'm back! Yay!
Yay!
Welcome back.
So, to start off with, there's been a lot of things happening this past week. And by a lot of things happening, I mean, y'all sent me a lot of memes and news articles about stuff happening. So we'll go ahead and start off with our news department. Ronnie, go ahead and tell us just some of the releases that have come out this past week.
Let's see. Past week, digitally, the Justice League Dark movie released.
Now, that's actually got
Really?
the voice of the John Constantine that plays him on the TV.
Yeah, actually has Matt Ryan voicing Constantine on there, which is awesome. He does a great role in it. Great role. He does a good job in it. Everybody is just, I mean, the voice cast in that one was just stellar. It was
Now, does
really
that
good.
fall in line with the rest of the DC animated universe movies that maintain continuity?
Yeah, it does, and it's the closing chapter of that continuity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the end game for the DC animated universe.
That's
Oh,
strange
wow.
that they picked Justice League Dark to do that.
Oh, it makes sense. You watch it, well,
From a
you'll
producer
see what I mean.
standpoint, though, it just seems to be a little bit strange that you would start it off with the Justice League and then go through a bunch of Batman movies, Teen Titans, and then wrap it up with Justice League Dark. Doesn't that have like Swamp Thing and?
It does, but the main cast, it still has Superman and everybody like that in there too. I mean, everybody from all
It's like an
across
end
is
game.
in it.
Like they have everybody at some
But
point.
Constantine is the focus. He's the focal point of the movie.
Really?
So, Ronnie, are they not
Mhm.
doing any more of that, animated universe? Is this the culmination?
That's the last one of that one, but they're still doing more animated movies after that.
They're just
Superman,
that story is what you're saying.
yeah,
Or
that
like a different art
continuity.
direction, or like not necessarily like a part of the same continuity, maybe a one-off individual like stories. I mean, I don't
Possibly. I know the next one's going to be Superman, Man of Tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, that's a
That
good
one looks
story.
really good.
Really?
Sounds cool.
That's the next one
Well,
coming.
I gotta say, I mean, just because it is a Warner Brothers and DC Universe production, I was actually really, really proud of them for maintaining a consistent storyline for as long as they have in any medium. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
they've rebooted the comic books twice since they started that animated universe continuity. So I thought it was stellar.
Yeah, it seems like
Definitely.
for DC Warner Brothers, sometimes the media outside of the comic books are actually hold together like continuity a bit better.
Yeah, well, I mean, not the movies, but
Not the movies,
animated movies. Yeah.
but like WB, with all its flaws, has a pretty consistent little mini DC universe going on.
They
Mhm.
do. Yeah, the animated universe that they have is, I think it's amazing. The
It
movies,
really is.
like the live action movies, leave me a lot. I'll give the live action movies one thing: they surprise me with the characters that I walk away from the movie theater loving. I didn't know I was going to walk away being a Wonder Woman fanboy. I didn't know that Aquaman was going to be one of my new favorite.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like
Shazam
when
blew me away.
Shazam, yeah. Well, I'm kind of a fan of him anyway, but the Aquaman really it's like when you first hear about we're making an Aquaman movie. That's going to be the next big, DC movie,
Yeah.
and you say to yourself like, "What? DC? what's wrong with you, Aquaman?" But no, like it actually ended up being one of the better films that they produced.
Yeah, I actually, after I'd seen it, I called up Dan. I said, "Man, have you seen Aquaman yet?" And he said, "No." I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Well, somebody told me that it wasn't worth my money." And I was like, "Well, they lied to you." I was like, "I know you better. You liked him even when he was on Super Friends. If you liked him back then, you're going to love him now."
Yeah,
We went and saw that. He walked out into the parking lot with me, and he was like, "Tony, I've got to tell you, thank you so much for giving me this. I needed this in my life." I was like, it was a great movie. It was solid.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was absolutely worth seeing.
No,
I don't even care what kind of trouble
Yeah.
that Amber Heard girl gets into. Just keep coming back as Mara. Let her out of jail time anytime she takes a dog to Australia, and just let her show up in a movie for a while. She'll go right back to jail for illegally carrying dogs around the world.
I think now, like, are you talking about Amber Heard?
Bird?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's in trouble for more than just that at the moment.
Yeah, there's more than that. I mean, there's always more than that. If you're crazy enough to marry Johnny Depp, there's going to be more trouble you're in.
Yeah, that whole thing is crazy.
Yeah, another one of the things you were talking about, Warner Brothers Animation, they kind of stepped out of their comfort zone and released a animated Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Scorpion's Revenge? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, really, really good.
It did. I saw the little preview for it, and it seemed like it was the most solid put together story of what I remember the video game being when I was a kid.
Yeah, it actually combines. It's kind of a retelling of it, and also kind of reimagining, because they kind of speed some story aspects up while prolonging others, which you'll get to see when you eventually watch it. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody out there for the movie.
But is this actually from Scorpion's viewpoint? What's his name?
Yeah, absolutely. This takes place before the first tournament and during the first tournament. But elements of Mortal Kombat 1 through 4 are actually in this one. So you're going to be seeing some characters show up that don't show up until later, some that have some reveals, etc.
So are those like flash forwards, or are they part of the?
No, just part of a consistent story.
So they kind of just took that future stuff and then combined it with first tournament.
The first tournament,
okay.
Yeah. Some of it they did. But it's really, really good. They actually got Joel McHale from Community to voice Johnny Cage, and he is perfect.
See, I always
he
found
never
it funny
calls Raiden
you're
Lord
supposed to
Raiden.
like those human characters. Like, they really pushed to Johnny Cage and Liu Kang and even Sonya Blade. And I mean, your best chance of getting me to like a human character was Sonya Blade, let's face it. But they always pushed him. And I still have a hard time appreciating any of those characters. I like Scorpion. I like the what?
I said Johnny Cage is actually one of my favorite characters.
Well, I'm not.
Really?
I'm not diminishing you as a human being for liking him.
I'm just
saying I have a hard time liking him. I think he's just a joke.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the whole thing about his character, is that everybody views him as a joke, and he's proving himself not to be one.
I mean, he's basically
he's the Booster Gold of the Mortal Kombat.
He's the Jean-Claude
exactly.
Gold.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Dan. That's why way back when they were like, oh, what characters would you like to see in Mortal Kombat versus DC? It's like, I want to see Booster Gold versus Johnny Cage. Give that to me, please.
That would be funny. I'll give you that. That's like me wanting to see Lobo kill anybody. I mean, it's a fanboy dream, I guess. I just, I couldn't get into him. I mean, you got another guy that peels his face off, and he's got a flaming skull underneath. I was a little bit more of a fan of that.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. And this movie is definitely a hard animated R
Really?
in terms of violence.
But it's
Lots
not
of
a Street
fatalities.
Fighter the movie.
No, this is like
No Chun-Li stuff, huh?
this is on the verge of violence level of Ninja Scroll.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Ninja
Yeah.
Scroll was a big deal to me when I was a kid because I didn't think they could use that much red in any animated movie, but they proved me wrong.
Yeah, and Justice League Dark has some of that stuff in it too because it is rated R.
Oh, is
Really?
it? I did
The
not
new
know
one.
that.
Yeah.
So you're saying I should watch this before Rain watches it?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Um,
All right. Well, that's a big.
Yeah, it
I guess
surprises
they're really
me.
focused on these movies being for the adult community that hates their live action.
and especially watch it before Rain does because, well, I can't spoil anything. So I think saying who survives the movies, that's the spoiler. As far as Justice League Dark goes,
All right.
heroes
I'll
drop
take your word for it. I
left
mean, I was
and
planning on
right.
watching it just to review it, but it's just been a hectic week of trying to catch up on Vikings.
Yeah, I understand that, man.
That was a good show, but anyway.
Oh, Mortal Kombat. Speaking of, Aftermath comes out either May 25th or 26th, and it's a DLC expansion for Mortal Kombat 11. And it's the first time they've ever released a story expansion. And it's also gonna feature Fujin, Shiva, and RoboCop as playable characters. And Peter
So you
Weller actually came
have
back.
RoboCop versus the Terminator?
Yep, and it's Peter Weller
Is
voicing
RoboCop?
RoboCop.
Is he canon in the storyline for Mortal Kombat?
He's a guest character, so probably not.
So the 25th is Memorial Day, so you think they would be releasing it on Memorial Day?
I mean, it's digital. I have it pre-ordered. I'll let you know.
Pretty much everything's VOD right now, right?
We could do a watch party. You guys all need to buy Oculus Quests, and we'll go to a virtual theater and watch it.
Hey, that's a good idea.
It works. I'm quite impressed.
Popcorn's free.
Popcorn is free. You can throw it at each other. You can throw tomatoes at the screen if you want.
Oh, that would have been perfect for Dark Phoenix.
I actually watched a movie recently in 3D in a theater virtually, and the whole thing is like 2 hours, and it was the best 3D movie I had ever seen. Like it worked so well.
3D?
No, I'm not saying the movie was the best movie I'd ever seen.
What movie was this?
The 3D. It was the most recent Star Trek. So it was Star Trek 3 Beyond. It was a good movie, but like the 3D, the 3D in it was perfect, and I attribute that to the format that I was watching it in. There's no glasses. It was crisp. It wasn't dim.
But wasn't it on your Oculus?
Yeah.
So that's still like.
I mean, you're wearing a headset.
Okay.
But like it doesn't. You don't feel like you're wearing glasses. And then, of course, like my friend Sean, which you guys know, was sitting next to me virtually. We could talk to each other if we want to. Comment on
it.
That's pretty cool. So that goes into what you were talking about a couple weeks ago with the death of the modern cinema.
Could you look to your right and actually see?
Yeah.
A virtual Sean?
Yeah. Yeah, he's sitting right next to me. He can sit anywhere. He just chose to sit next to me.
He does that. You
got a big screen. You have different options. You have a theatrical screen like classic. There's different types of theaters. You can also have more of a home setting.
You were at a drive-in?
I don't know if they have a drive. I didn't go through all the options, but they might have a drive-in.
I mean, if you sit next to you, you might as well be in like a nice convertible.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can have up to 12 people, I think, in one room, and you can host movies yourself. We had actually rented it, and probably got pretty good quality doing that. But you can host it. You can stream it directly from your PC, and then invite people to come watch it in a theater or a virtual, home setting.
They just have to have this Oculus system.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, so I can't just watch it on my computer and link to you who's in the room.
I don't know. There is something that just came out, was just released to the public maybe last week. And it's by Mozilla, the Firefox makers. It's called Hubs. And basically what that is virtual hangout spaces. And it's cross-platform. It's all through the browser. And so if you have a phone, but you don't have a VR headset, you can like log in and see everybody and interact with them.
Now you didn't say hugs, did you?
Hub with a B.
Hub. Okay, I thought we were talking about virtual hugs. Like people have gotten so sad and deprived of human contact that we are now relying on video games to produce.
It is a surrogate for like hanging out. There is a sense of presence there. You can't actually touch anybody, but you can give them like high fives and like emojis spring forth. There are things you can do, but.
This
no, it's
close their eyes.
The future of that technology. I'm not even going to go into it, but you all know what I'm thinking. That's just scary.
Oh yeah, I actually have a video I posted up at on my Facebook. If you haven't seen it, it's up there examining the hand tracking of the VR.
Okay, I will check.
Yeah, I'd recommend anyone who's interested go check that out. I mean, like you have to be friends with me to do that. Maybe we'll post it to like a Saturday Night Gaming page.
So it's not on your Instagram?
No, it's on my Facebook.
Okay.
I mean, you might not have to be friends with me. I don't know. It might be public, but
I'm hoping we're just talking to the audience. I think we're all friends with you here.
Oh no, you guys are. I'm talking to the audience.
Oh, you're talking to Grandma. Grandma, if you want to go ahead and send John McClay a friend request, you can. So that you
no,
view of the audience.
I mean your grandma can. In fact, all grandmas. I'm cool with
all
grandmas.
grandmas should be free to send friend requests.
Yeah. Your grandma is my grandma. They're all, community grandmas.
Community grandmothers.
Yeah. You need a grandma? I got a grandma.
Yeah.
She'll bake you cookies.
Yeah, we don't want anybody missing out on grandma time.
Yeah,
everybody
milk
has
and cookies.
Reminds me of that Cyanide Happiness, the grandma dealer.
Oh,
now they actually did release. Did you see that? I have a red ghost living in my house with me.
I did.
Scary.
You gotta watch out for that. They released some new figures even after this long after the toy fair. I saw that Power Rangers Lightning, the new MMPR line, is releasing a Power Morpher display stand, a Zordon, and a Alpha 5, and 2-pack putty controllers.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw that they're re-releasing Lord Zed with an actual Rita Repulsa. So for any fans of the old series or toy collecting out there, they have an actual 6-inch Rita Repulsa figure that's going to be coming out, and a Lord Zed and Zordon and Alpha 5. The Alpha 5 even comes with a little cute teddy bear that he always had in the show. So if you're big Power Rangers fans from back in the day, if you were still in elementary school in 1994, unlike John McClay, who had
I was 25.
survived the
I
Civil
was 25
War.
when that was out.
Yeah, you were about 50 years old at that time, I think. But if there's anybody else
still fighting the war.
Yeah, he was still fighting.
Me and Chuck were both in Nam. Little kitty shows. We don't
Everybody
know
else had actually been brought home from them, and the two of you stayed.
We stayed. We didn't come back until like the late 80s.
Yeah, right.
They were the cleanup crew.
They were making sure it actually got finished.
Rambo ain't got nothing on us.
Actually, we just got lost. It took us that long to figure out how to get back.
Shut up, John.
Well, all right, that's a good news segment. Let's go ahead and cut to our commercial break. Make sure you watch our commercials because they are awesome. We'll have some cool Easter eggs coming out soon. Maybe even some video clips from our own Saturday Night Gaming podcast series that we got some video of, and we might even show you that for your enjoyment and your viewing pleasure. And we'll be right back.
Hello everybody, this is Dan once again coming back just to let you know a little bit about what we've been up to. We still have our Facebook page at facebook.com/turnthepageshow, or you can now find us on our website at SaturdayNightGaming LLC.com/turn-the-page. So you should go ahead and check that out over there. We have links to our most recent episode. We have links to the shop. We have links to what's going on with Saturday Night Gaming as a larger company. And you can check all of that out over there at SaturdayNightGamingLLC.com. And now we're back to the show.
All right. Thanks for coming back again from a commercial break. Thanks for sticking through the commercial break and enjoying every second of it. And you've joined us again for our main event. That's right. We're going to talk about heroes turned villains in comic books. I didn't intend to talk this much about DC Comics today, but it seems like we're going to be doing a lot of talking about DC Comics today because when it comes to heroes turning villains, they've got the whole market cornered. John, Mr. McClay, what is one of your favorite iterations of a hero following the dark path?
Well, there's lots of that. Sinestro, I don't know if he was my favorite hero or anything, but that's an example. He was considered a hero before he turned.
He was heroic, yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm more interested in why would someone who is of a heroic nature turn to a dark path?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about Thal Sinestro, I mean, he is actually one of my favorite characters of DC Comics. I appreciate you bringing him up, but I mean, on the offset, when you first are introduced to him as a Green Lantern, he is heroic. He's just a real hard-nosed kind of guy. Like, he has a certain standard of how he wants things to go. But then you get a lot of backstories on him, and you find out how he got the ring in the first place, and he chose not to save that Green Lantern so that he could keep the power. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, he's not really that great of a dude, but then you realize that in his mind, he thinks, well, this guy's wasting the power. I'm going to use it better, so I might as well keep it. That's the heroic thing to do.
Well, that's what would benefit everyone else. What is it right to say steal something if someone's not using it and will never use it? That's going to a waste. You could argue that you're being heroic. You're liberating that thing that could have use, maybe to society, even though you're doing something that society considers wrong, which is stealing.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
I think that's the kind of mentality,
I want more than they do. It's mine. It's not really stealing. It's liberating this one-of-a-kind mint condition, Babe Ruth signed baseball. They weren't even doing anything with it. They just.
Or I will appreciate it more. It's or like a tool that no one ever uses, and it's like I need a tool.
Until that day, it's like, man, where is my Extendo Phillips head with the double joint? And it's gone.
Yeah. Well, if Superman or when he goes rogue, it's like he realized this power that humans have, this authority over themselves, they don't deserve. And it would be wrong for me to allow them to have it. So therefore I will take it because I have the power and the knowledge to rule properly. Like with Dr. Doom, he does what he does because he thinks that only he knows best.
That's true, but all right? So these are all interesting points that you're bringing up, and interesting characters actually too. Because if you think about characters like Hal Jordan or some of the smaller characters like Booster Gold or Blue Beetle, a lot of these characters aren't so much worried about, hey, how do I save the world? Some of these characters are just about I got to save that girl. Or I got to save this person. They're very focused on a individual. But then you start thinking Batman saving his city. He is Gotham. And then you think Superman. Superman is the world. He's saving the world. He's saving the universe. Sinestro Corrigar is his.
Like, are they willing to make compromises on the individual level in order to
Right.
save the world?
Right, because I have a bigger idea. I have a better scope of view than you do, obviously. So therefore, I can sacrifice this little bit of ethics and morals in order for the greater good. It seems like a lot of those characters go down the dark path, the sinister path, when they start talking about the greater good.
Yeah, it's like they fool themselves that this Machiavellian way of thinking is correct, which, like, you know, getting back to like their roots, like Spider-Man, like, no, you don't kill people because it's wrong, right? So
Right.
like, as soon as you start saying like that it's okay, like, to kill someone, if you have a good enough reason, then you're setting a precedent that you can have a good enough reason to kill somebody.
Right.
And what people will do is, and they'll take that and say, well, my reason's good enough, therefore I'm not bad, you know, because I have a good enough
I've
reason.
judged it myself.
I have judged
Obviously.
my
Yeah.
reasons, yeah.
It
And
kind of
that's
becomes the judge, the jury, and the execution.
and that's what happens, you know, when you have someone like a Superman who has made that judgment that I believe this is a good enough reason to, like, you know, do horrible things. It's like, you know, at what point do you say that there is no good enough reason to do that?
Well,
Like,
I mean, that's actually kind of, and I know that a few people probably have read the good amount of Batman in their life. But one of the things that I appreciated the most about Bruce Wayne Batman was that he made the rule not to kill people, not because he didn't want to, not because he didn't think he could get away with it, but because he knew that was the line. He knew that if he chose to kill people, that from that moment forward, he would just do it because there would always be a good reason to do it.
he could find a reason.
Right, exactly. Ronnie, what's a good example of one of your favorite good guy gone rogue comic book stories?
Well, I mean, it kind of touches upon what John was talking about earlier, like how it's like, oh, well, you know, I can do this better, I can rule better. You know, like someone like Superman. One of my favorites actually is two, actually. Superman Red Sun, which the anime movie released recently, that was really good, where he landed in Russia instead of, you know, Kansas. Grew up under communist ideals, thought he was like, you know, he's going to spread communism throughout the world. It's like, this is the way, this is much better than what the, you know, Americans are trying to do or anybody else, because he was falling into the propaganda that was being sold to him.
Well, he was
And
raised
actually,
on a certain kind of morals and ethics.
yeah,
And it
from
shows the humanity of Superman, no matter how godly we view him to be, it really is just based upon what he was raised to believe.
yeah, and the thing is, it's like he wants like all humanity to have like the same rights, be on an equal level playing field and everything. And he realized that his dad, Joseph Stalin, was not doing that. And he
Oh my
found out
God.
about the gulags and then freed everybody, etc. And then was like, no, this isn't going to stand. And then he actually kills Stalin
Yeah,
in the
that's
book
when he
and then
becomes the
everything.
president.
And that's when his conquest and how his really starts to become the villain of the story, a misled hero. And then you have that redemption arc near the end of it. But there's one story with Superman that there's no redemption story arc. He just snaps completely, and that's an Injustice, which started
Right.
off as a video game and then turned into a comic. It's what if Joker tricked Superman into killing Lois Lane using fear toxin laced with kryptonite.
Now,
Not only did he
what
kill
do you
Lois
feel
Lane,
is the difference between, if I could bring it up for a second, there was the run when Alex Ross came out with the Justice series, and he also had the Kingdom Come run. Kingdom Come was very similar to why Superman chose to exile himself from the world, and it had to do with the Joker. And it had to do with the way he was killing people and the way he didn't see justice as being served. But in that, he doesn't snap and he doesn't start killing everybody. But similarly, the story runs in Justice. where he does just completely snap like a crazy person and start killing everybody. But what do you think is really a good difference there, or why do you think they want to tell us that story? I guess that Superman being so human, I guess, not even human, inhumane.
I think that it is like we were saying, humanizing them, in that like we're all susceptible to that kind of evil. Tolkien had an idea about like even the best of us will, given enough time, succumb to the worst in us.
Like that old phrase, what was it? They used that in the Batman movie. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, in the face of ultimate evil, even the best of us will succumb. And it's not about actively fighting evil. It's about being merciful and understanding that that concept that even the best of us can fall, and to forgive them and have mercy. And it's mercy itself that would free us from the grasp of evil ultimately. And of course, in the actual story, that is what happens. Like Frodo spares Gollum, and because of Gollum being spared, like evil is another Tolkien idea. Is that evil is also self-defeating. That's why you don't have to actively fight it. It will defeat itself given enough time. And that's what you see. Like Gollum's greed is what ultimately destroys the ring. It's not anything Frodo does. In fact, Frodo succumbs to the ring. The best of us succumbs to ultimate evil given enough time. But that's not what saves everyone. Frodo didn't save everyone except through his act of mercy.
Well, if Bruce Wayne had the ring, he wouldn't have succumbed to it, I think.
Well, I mean, the idea is that he would, given enough time.
But I mean, honestly, look at it.
Well,
He's the only one in all these stories that doesn't succumb to the will to be childish or petty about these things. Yeah, he's a little bit nutty in the way he does stuff, but he doesn't ever kill anybody.
Well, Batman, you're probably right. But if it was written by Tolkien, he would.
I'll give you that. I would love to read a Tolkien written Batman.
A Tolkien Justice League.
The the quote you said, Tony, was very similar to what Nietzsche said when he's like, "Be careful when hunting monsters that you don't become one yourself."
Yeah, somebody said that to me one time too, as a big changer in my life. When fighting monsters, don't become one. It is something that I think that they touch on a lot in comic books. For me, one of my favorite runs to read. I was a big Green Lantern fan before the movie, and loved the Hal Jordan run where his hair starts to go gray. Of course, it was during the Death of Superman arc back when I was a kid, and but eventually he became Parallax, succumbs to the fear that he's supposed to be able to overcome, and in that moment, and this is what's crazy about it, is like in that moment, all he does is make a construct city. He replaces the city that was destroyed, his coast city. He replaces it with a construct and replaces some of the people that died with constructs. And the Guardians just lost their minds about it, showed up, stole all of his power from him, told him he was supposed to report for punishment. And he's like, man, all I was doing was painting a picture for myself. But you know what? Fine. I'll show up. We'll talk this out. And he goes on this bloody path across the stars, beating the crap out of every lantern that tries to stop him, collecting all the rings until he shows up for one of the most iconic pages, I think, in a comic book ever, is when he's faced off against Kilowog. He holds up both hands, and he's got like 20 rings on. And he's like, don't you see how I've come armed? And like he drops most of them off, like he takes them off to fight Kilowog one-on-one as the way he felt respect and honor to do so. He kills him. I mean, he just kills him. But it was one of those things where it was like, he started thinking of things in a little bit different sense. It was a little bit more squirrely. It wasn't so much the greater good, but it was that I'm going to get my revenge against these little blue ugly dudes that don't care about everybody. And then eventually you find out he's possessed by this fear entity. And I mean, it was just a really good guy becomes the bad guy, but even when he was the bad guy, he was saving the universe, reigniting the sun with his own sacrifice. And then when they redeem him with Jeff Johns' story, it was really, really well done. But even at that point, it was just one of those things where he's the most human character that they portray. Because, yeah, he has this ring, but mostly he's just really flawed, horrible, womanizing, bad at keeping a job, always running off to do his job out in space. I don't know. I just had a lot of fun with that.
He's a cop, you know.
He's a cop. He's always just focused on the beat. I just thought it was a very fascinating run that they did. I mean, for
Definitely.
DC Comics gets me from time to time with their individual characters. You know, Tim Snyder writing Batman, I'm stuck. I was stuck reading it. I loved it. Jeff Johns on Green Lantern was great. There are certain times they have certain arcs that just really work well. But on the overall, you know, I'm obviously pretty honest about the fact that I read a lot of Marvel. But DC does some good humanizing stories with individual characters if they have the right author.
Yeah, definitely.
On
I
Bendis
think we
is
should
not
come
gonna
back
have
to
a
this
touch of
topic
Marvel.
eventually.
on Marvel, one of my favorite storylines about the heroes becoming the villains is the Phoenix, the Phoenix Five.
Cyclops and
Yeah, where Cyclops and Magic and Namor and Colossus
Emma Frost.
and Emma Frost basically try to create a utopia on Earth. They're making it so that the entire world has plenty of supply. Just leave us alone on our island. But over time, the power of being essentially a god wears on them, and they start to realize that they are not good people.
Well, I mean that's an interesting one that you actually bring up too, because in that, if you removed Captain America in the Avengers from that storyline, the people that were consistently barraging and attacking the new gods, basically, you got these 5 people acting as God. So with them attacking them on a consistent basis, constantly putting them down or trying to assault them in some physical or mental way, without that occurring, would they have still walked down the path of superiority if they hadn't started beating each of the Phoenix Force in that? You know, I guess what I'm trying to say is it brings to mind something that I've realized, or a thought that I have, and I'd like to see what the philosophy is that y'all think on this. But a lot of the times when you have a quote-unquote hero in the story, the hero is a hero because he's maintaining a status quo. And the villain is somebody who wants to change a lot of the world around you. So one villain may say, like, I don't like this organized society, I'm going to take it down. The hero is the one that maintains and returns society to that status quo. So it's the person who keeps us unchanged in a mundane rigmarole.
There's a season of Flash that kind of touched on this. Of course, the villain was also crazy, and his ideas went too far. But at some point, there was some sympathy, like, oh, I can understand his rationale, you know, like kind of reverting to a simpler way of life. But then, of course, you know, in classic comic book style, he went too far with that idea and made it obviously, no, we have to stop him. But even if he hadn't, we would have had to have stopped him because of what you're saying. Like, so, like, say, take this for example, like Tyler Durden. You know, that's like a villain, but from a hero's perspective, right? So, like, what he's doing is undermining society. He's blowing up buildings. You know, he's causing havoc. So, like, I can see a story from, like, say, a police officer's point of view, thinking of themselves as the hero, going after this villain. But Tyler Durden, to a lot of people, is the hero.
To a section. I mean, if you think about it, like he's a
Yeah.
hero to those who have credit card debt, to those who are not overcoming the system as the way it is, but those who are rich off of it and then are broke overnight.
Oh yeah,
He's a villain.
villain.
And see, my point is, I'd love to come back to this because the characters you are talking about are not the ones I'm thinking of, but you're totally talking about Judge Dredd, who is by the book law, but on the other hand, there's times when he does by the book, when he looks back and says, but was that really a black or white situation? Could that have been something we could have done differently?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess the authors of our day and age are really touching on a lot of things that make us. I mean, honestly, that's what I would like to talk about next time too. Bringing up myths and legends within comic books, the gods, the demigods, all of that. I would like to touch on the fact that, just a little spoiler alert for what we're going to talk about next time. But this isn't new. Talking about heroes and parables of gods and demigods and superpowered things. This is not a new subject in society. Comic books, from the 50s, the 60s, people are looking at it, it's making your child stupid, it's a bad thing to read, this new thing. It's not new. Tattoos aren't new. Piercings aren't new. People, this has been going on in society since society started trying to form a civilized way of emitting or emoting, I guess, putting out our feelings and sharing what it is we see, what we desire. But I'd be really interested in a lot of you guys' thoughts on why. Because these heroes that we see in all these stories, from Thor, Hercules, Perseus, all the way up through the ages until we started writing comic books in the same way, they weren't the best people. They weren't showing us the most moral way to do things. What is it that has humanity so intertwined with these stories outside of our mundane lives, our run and go every day? But I'd like to talk about that next time. We are definitely running over a little bit, I think, but that's good because we had great conversations, good fun with good people. As always, John McClay, I appreciate your philosophical views on things. Ronnie, I appreciate your candid love for Superman and your knowledge on everything that's going on in comics and entertainment today. Dan, keep up the good work. And Chuck, you better not stop coming back as my peanut gallery, because you throw out some ideas that even I forget about sometimes. So until next time, continue to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family and your grandmother. And just keep on coming back. If you enjoy what we have to talk about, if you want to talk about some of the same things, leave us a comment either on our Facebook or just down on the comment thing. Danny will take care of all that technical stuff.
Just shout it to us if you see us on it. Just comment.
If you see me in the street, just say, "Hey, man, what do you think about this?" I'll talk about it on the show. I'll even invite you on as a guest spot, maybe, as long as you're not a crazy person.
Especially if you're a crazy person.
Especially, I mean, I'm allowed to be on the show. But,
Wait a minute. You have me.
Yeah,
Ronnie's allowed to be here. We already had that one that day too long ago. But until then, continue to do everything that you need to do to enjoy and love your life. Keep trying every day to be a little bit better. Be a hero in your own right. Just don't destroy the status quo. Until next time.
In a lonely, lonely desert east of Nairobi, there were some pyramids standing there. Who knows what formation they were in? Then a hero named Hydro walked in and he said, "Here I am in the sand again. Here I am up on the pyramid. There's some lightning But here I am. Turn the page. Take it, Danny.
All right, John the Red, you sneak into the governor's house to try and find his servant.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's there? What smells of elderberry?
Ah, you like elderberry.
Ah, it's just the crazy red-headed man from before. Oh no!
Oh, thank you. I just want to say, I got the hint that you had a thing for my friend, my young friend. Well, it took some what? Go on, young lady.
What do you do? I don't understand.
You know, the one that didn't have a beard, but you said he had a beard because you like him. That one.
Oh, the one that looked like a very pretty woman.
Yes. Anyway, he's fantastic, and you're right for liking him. But he's going to go away and do some amazing things. But when he comes back, I want you to be waiting for him.
I tell you what, sir. I will listen to your
wrong.
words, and I will
He's like a son
stay.
to me.
Ah, he's your son.
No, he's like a son. He's very young. He's like 12.
Well, then maybe by the time he gets back, he'll have been older.
He's a manly 12.
Well, yes, he did see. He had tattoos, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Very manly.
I tell you what, sir. I will
Peach
stay
Fuzz beard. That's
right
somewhat
here. I won't ever even leave here. I will stay here, and I will work here until he comes back.
All right, I'll tell him.
And then possibly even after he comes back, I will continue to work here.
Let's SNG, cause it's Saturday. Playing a game, got dice on the table. Scott's gonna tell you if you're able. Your character dies, gotta re-roll. That's how it goes when you play with us. It's SNG on Saturday. Watch Turn the Page. You must do it. Watch it. Turn the page, turn the page, turn the page. Drink coffee, and watch Turn the Page.